I'm here to point out that my son's zip code is determining his access to an equitable education, his access to inclusion. When I arrived at Yes Academy, I asked for a tour. The MDO class had 12 children, 2 aides, 1 parent volunteer, but no teacher. In fact, they had not had a teacher in that class, nor a consistent substitute teacher for the entire year. Kindergarten students were mixed with first and second and third graders at this class, and in May, they were coloring the letter D. I have been in due process for the past 2 years. I visited over 10 special day classrooms. While special education day class was each one was uniquely worrisome, they all shared some common problems. They lacked the physical environment that stimulates inquiry and learning. They disengaged students sat by themselves. They had no evidence of common core curriculum being taught or anything being taught for that matter. Staff had lengthy conversations on cell phones while students watched videos. Classroom walls were filled with behavior charts rather than any evidence of education or learning. Students' folders were filled with worksheets from free internet sites. Whiteboards were blank except for a recess schedule that was written across the board through the center. What I have witnessed is nothing short of educational neglect. Inclusion is a part of the new mission statement of LAUSD. And I hear that inclusion specialists, that they have them for the district. But I have done nothing short of beg officials on the 17th floor, time after time, for access to these kinds of settings for my son. It seems they only exist north of the 405 and 101 interchange. They do not exist in South LA. They do not exist in neighborhoods that are consistently overlooked by the district. Our children cannot continue to be segregated in multi-grade classrooms. Students are put together from kindergarten through 3rd grade, 4th and 5th grade, and in some cases, kindergarten through 5th graders are in one classroom for 5 years or 6 years with one special education teacher and an aide. There is no educational benefit to that. I hope that the stories that you hear today from parents make you uncomfortable. I hope they disrupt your day, quite frankly. And please, on behalf of all of us, please, when you're writing your final report, please consider thinking about what you can do to help protect our children, because what's happening right now is not okay in our classrooms.
My son has had an IEP since he was 3 years old. He's now 9 years old, and I still have difficulty navigating a system that impedes parents from being an equal partner in the process. And I speak English, I have a college degree, and I can hire an advocate. But how can you say that LAUSD has succeeded in serving its special needs students when even those most advantaged by the system have difficulty getting their children's needs met? How is that educational equity for all special needs students? LAUSD makes parents feel as though we need to fight for every last service, for every quasi-appropriate school placement, and it puts barriers at every step of the way. There are entire parent support groups on the internet and in real life throughout Los Angeles dedicated to figuring out how to get our children what they need, how to find the LAUSD unicorn of an appropriate school placement. For bright students like mine, special day classes don't meet his academic needs, but he is overwhelmed by large classroom settings, so a general education class with 25 to 40 kids isn't appropriate either. So where can I send my son to school? And there are so many children like mine in LAUSD. There are no appropriate placement for kids like ours. They don't exist. The New York Unified School District has inclusive classrooms with collaborative team teaching and social emotional learning curriculum. Why doesn't LAUSD? What best practices has LAUSD gathered and implemented from other school districts that have high rates of achievement for their special needs students? We know that it's about saving money. We know that by creating a system that's difficult for parents to navigate, by denying services to special needs children, by having no inclusive classrooms in LAUSD with small class sizes, by not having the high expectations for the 80% of special needs students who are just as capable of high achievement as their typical peers, LAUSD has not succeeded in serving their needs and has not provided them with a free and appropriate public education. Those who succeed are the exception, not the rule. And while it may save LAUSD money now, it will cost us all so much more as a society in the end. That is why we parents are deeply worried that when the oversight is lost, it will be that much harder for students with special needs to achieve success in LAUSD. So I ask you now, what is LAUSD going to do to further improve special education now that the modified consent decree is over?
I love the community at Pacific Boulevard, and I am grateful for all the amazing teachers and therapists my son has. The facility also great and are what Aiden needs, but I don't understand why I have to fight for something that is in his IEP. Now I have had to hire a lawyer, and we are going to do process hearing in October. Maybe if the district spends less on lawyers and more on training teachers and providers, all kids with special needs in LAUSD will get the support they need.
When I heard about the modified consent decree being sunsetted, I have to say I was a bit incredulous, especially because it was being touted by the district as a victory, saying, we're so compliant now, this is great, we can now sunset this. Maybe I only hear the bad news. Nobody calls me and tells me how great their kid in special ed is doing in LAUSD. But I hear, I've spoken to over 100 parents in the district in the past year and a half, and I hear horror story after horror story. And if we are meeting the baseline of compliance, then I will say compliance on a piece of paper does not mean quality education. I've attended a lot of district trainings, IEP training, Organize Your Binder IEP training, dyslexia training, and they're giving some really good trainings. But only a handful of parents and teachers get to these trainings every year. So what you have is you have these people, this is my analysis, at the top in the administration, you have a lot of people who actually know quite a lot. But then on the ground, teachers, admin, parents don't know. I looked into teacher certification requirements by the California Teacher Commission, am I getting that right? The CTC. And to become a special educator, you have to know the US Constitution, but you don't have to know the IDEA. And I found that pretty amazing because here these teachers are on the ground with these kids, and especially the gen ed teachers who are receiving kids, in the very lofty goal of inclusion, and they don't have the training. So it's a huge disconnect. I realize that's outside of your purview, but I would love any recommendations on how we can raise awareness around that, how we can bridge that gap. I also understand that teachers are overwhelmed enough as it is, but something does have to give. If parents and teachers don't have access to information about how to support special needs kids, then how are we going to get these kids off the ground? According to, I think, the 2017, 2016 state testing reports, only 10% of kids with IEPs in LAUSD reached grade level, when extensive research shows that over 80% of kids with special needs can achieve at the same grade level as their neurotypical peers. So clearly, if we've met compliance, it's not good enough.